Australia has all but lost a generation. Men, women and especially our children who have become the victims of gross social and political mismanagement. And yet what's being enacted is the insidious ruination for decades to come. COVID has changed the world forever. And what is more disturbing is how COVID is being used to manipulate political outcomes to suit vested interests. And COVID is no longer just a virus, but a ticket for political purpose, a ticket for political abuse, a ticket that has spawned more than just the falsehood of power, but invincibility to impact reckless destruction. And the residual effect is a pandemic of greater impact. More devastating than the ravages of COVID, it's a pandemic of greater consequence. It's the overt psychological and mental destruction of our youth. And COVID has highlighted the inability of government to admit just how badly they've got it wrong. The mental health of Victorians, through Andrew's obsession with lockdowns, continues to take a dramatic toll. And it's a strategy that lacks any sense except to reinforce Andrew's ego for control and power. Andrews has made it clear that he lacks the understanding, or even worse, the compassion to grasp the impact he is having on the mental health of our young Victorians. He has not only single-handedly destroyed Victoria, but he is destroying the well-being of our Victorians. The number of youth reported as self-harming, contemplating suicide and suiciding because of the deterioration of their mental health and a growing pressure of rolling lockdowns and isolation is proving all too much. Hope and life are being taken away and the future stolen from them. Now, life for many holds no meaning, no relevance or any significance. And what's even more concerning is when we hear of the commentary of 8-year-olds who have openly said life in heaven would be better than here. What a shit show their actions have created, which was as foreseeable as it is preventable. Andrews and Sutton are robbing young Victorians of their lives to satisfy their delusional hunger for control. Not only have they robbed young Victorians, but they've treated all Victorians like children incapable of making their own decisions. And why is Sutton actually referred to as a Chief Health Officer when his entire focus appears to be COVID? The only thing that health means to him is COVID. Finally, the time has come and Andrews has realised that relying on case number dependency to drive his agenda has failed. Now he needs to communicate a strategy of a way forward out of lockdowns and border closures, of economic destruction, and give hope and ease the pressure on families. Let's remove the pain that Victoria's youth are experiencing and consult with the leading mental health experts on the impact that lockdowns will and are having. Rather than use Brett Sutton as your leading expert and adopting a unilateral decision-making process without consulting real experts in the field isn't the way to go. Now, earlier this week, Dan Andrews' language suggested just how much he revelled in the control of power, of exhibiting who is in control and how he holds the key to Victorians' freedoms. And yet, Victorians' freedoms are not for him to take, but he has. His comment in the media on Tuesday where he said, "I want to make it clear to Victorians, tomorrow is not a day for freedom," was a startling insight into his state of mind. It's this language that symbolises the power and control that he now has. And he's achieved it through creating and instilling fear in Victorians, telling them that the world will come to an end if they didn't conform to the rules he initiates. And it's only he who can save Victorians. But instead, he has robbed young Victorians of their mental health and of their zest for life and of their future aspirations. Let's not forget the overwhelmed mental health workers who are left trying to hold back a tsunami of impending disaster that they know will come crushing down with great force. These are people who will also suffer and feel pain, anguish and the grief of families affected by Andrew's tyranny of power. Recently, I was told this was all for the greater good, but no one in question can ever explain to me what the greater good is. If the greater good is to surrender freedoms, then that should be a decision that each Victorian is allowed to make independently of anyone else and not a collective decision made on their behalf. As humans, we aren't wired to have little direction or autonomy. We are driven by purpose. We are wired to make plans and we are taught from youth to make conscious choices. But right now, we have neither. And it's building fear, anger and anxiety. Andrews can't simply dismiss, minimise or attempt to distract Victorians by shifting the blame for the mental health crisis that he has created. Rather, We should be defending the future youth of our young Victorians, not surrendering it, because their future is not ours to surrender, but it is ours to defend.